right, welcome back. In case you're just joining us, Professor Ebere Onwudiwe is joining me right now, an economist. Welcome, Prof. Good to see you. Long time no see.
Yes, we'll see you again.
Good to see you, Prof. Where have you been?
Around.
You've been around.
Yes.
How's the recession been? How have you been faring in the recession?
Like
Or is it
everybody
the
else.
recession that made you hibernate?
No. It's not been as terrible.
Okay. Prof, just before I went on a break, I did, of course, tell our viewers what we'll be looking at today in terms of fixing the economy, getting the country out of recession. And I did say earlier on, is it that the Nigeria's economy has a fracture, or the leg is completely amputated, so we need prosthetics? What do you think as an economist? Is it fractured, or is it a sprain, or a strain? I know there's a sprain, there's a strain, or a fracture is completely amputated. Which one?
I don't think we're at the level of amputation or even fracture. But I do think that we are suffering something that comes and goes. You know, that's what recession does in every economy. It's not unique to us. And but how we react to it is, of course, very, very important in determining how intense and how much suffering it imposes.
You're saying, Prof, can you just say it again? Say that out.
Okay, so I mean, how we react to it matters. Even though recession is an occurrence in many economies once in a while. It comes and goes. It's not a permanent problem. It's something that will leave us after a while. But I was saying that how we react to it matters a lot. And I think before we begin to react to it, we have to first make sure we understand its beginning. And in our case, the beginning of recession here is straightforward. Its immediate cost, its immediate cause, or immediate causes are known. And the first one, as we all know, is the spike, the slump in oil prices. And so the reduction of oil prices, of course, affects our revenue. And the second one is not that we only had a reduction in oil prices, but we also had a reduction in quantity that we used to supply. So even if oil prices did not reduce, the reduction from 2 million barrels a day to about 800 after a while there is something that will still have caused our economy a problem. So the best way to handle this is, now we've seen the two causes. How do we counteract these causes? How do we handle the ensuing, the resultant recession? And I think on the first cause, which is the slump in oil prices, there's very little we can do about it. But on the second one, which is the quantity reduction, there is a lot that this government can do. And that is, it should negotiate with the Niger Delta groups and find a way to reduce incidences that cause our oil reduction. And the best way to do this is already in the books. It's already in the PIB. In the Community Development Fund that is in the PIB should be something that we can apply. Because, you know, I know there are a lot of resistance to that. But this is something that affects the whole country. It is something that affects our general revenue. And so we should do something, because we know companies that have actually done something with their oil communities. And what they have done is there for us to copy. For instance, there is an oil company called Emerald Oil, which operates in the Niger Delta as well. And what it has done is something that we can copy. And I think it's something that is reflected, because one of the writers of the PIB was the owner of that company, Dr. Emmanuel Eboga, who is a globally known oil specialist, who was actually the advisor on petroleum to Yaradua. And he introduced in his own company community ownership. He gave a certain percentage of his operation to the communities where the oil, where his business is located. And to this date, he doesn't use any securities. The community members themselves offer protection because they cannot vandalize what belongs to them. And that is the whole idea that is in the PIB, which everybody is, which some people are fighting. I mean, especially some community, some parts of the country here in the north don't think we should add more and more to all the things that have been given to Niger Delta already. But that's a different thing we can discuss because I have issues there. But you see, if you now do this, you will now increase the quantity that we are producing, which even when the oil goes a little bit up, is going to help the amount of revenue that we get. And that is going to reduce the recession a bit.
Prof, you've made a lot of points. Let me see if I can take you up on some of them. I try to keep up with you. Of course, when you started, you did talk about the recession. And for those of us that watch economies around the world, we know that the recession is not a new phenomenon. That recession has cycles, so to speak, perhaps every 4, 5, 6 years, countries go up and down. But it's for you to know when the economy is facing challenges or headwinds for you to be able to prepare yourself. Like what's happened was in 2008, 2009, that we had like a buffer, you know, when the rest of the world we're feeling it. That's one. The other issue that you also raised is the price of oil and the quantity that we're producing, because it seems to me not just even a double whammy, but for me I call it a triple whammy, because you see the decline in Prof, you're laughing. Yes, it's a triple whammy, not just that the price of oil has declined or the quantity has also declined, but that the people that are also buying our oil have gone to other countries that are buying our oil. Other countries are also taking our customers from us,
yes,
so to speak, perhaps because of geography concerns and all of that. So it's a triple whammy. But would you say that, for example, if we wake up tomorrow morning and oil prices have shot up to like $110 a barrel, will Nigeria be out of recession?
Yes, I mean, you know, our recession simply refers to limited output, shrinking of our national output economically.
That's GDP?
Yes. And so if we increase productivity, we can raise our level of GDP. And so yes, if we get more income, if we patronize our producers, if we buy what they produce, then they are going to be able to produce more. If they have enough money to buy raw materials, which is what the raising of the price of oil will cause, it will bring more foreign, our forex levels will go up. Our dollar levels will go up, or whatever currency we use to, we want to use to buy things abroad will increase. And so, yes, it will help the recession. That's why all of us that are fighting or preaching, rather, for means of getting out of the recession, the story is always, please increase the revenue, increase money that is in circulation so that businesses can sell their products. And when they sell their products, what will they do? They will hire more people to produce more. And if they hire more people, that means there is less poverty around. That is, if they hire more people, people will have more money to buy more from the same producers. And so, yes, it will raise, it will end our problem of recession.
That means if all prices get to $110 now, let's say tomorrow morning, Nigeria's recession is over. Is that it? Or is that government will have more money to spend? But the fundamentals, the fundamental issues, the underlying factors that the economy is fractured, though you don't want to admit to that.
No, I can actually
that
yes.
The economy is fractured.
No, I don't think it is fractured. Well, at least I don't think it is fractured beyond repair.
Okay.
Whatever
But
has,
you agree with
whatever,
me that it's fraction, but
yes,
it's not amputated.
it's not amputated at
But
all.
it's
At all,
fractured.
yes, yes. And I don't think it's even close to amputation. I think we are very healthy, potentially very healthy and powerful economy if we can get our acts together. And that brings me to the point you're making, to the contributing factors. I've given you the immediate factors. So what are the contributing factors? And the contributing factors that are sort of exacerbating the pain of this recession is inclusive of deficiencies in the structure of, in some structural factors. And that includes infrastructure. We have some structural deficiencies, some structural situations that is not conducive to great productivity. We have problems with electricity. We have problems with roads. We have some may even count, even though we have a lot of skills around, but we are a country that puts more value in a BA in English than HND in technology, which is stupid, because the productivity is not based on, it's more based on know-how, of skills, of how to get
And
things
not
done.
certification.
Yes, yes, and not, we still do this up to this moment. We're still not putting emphasis to where it is required. And so we have structural deficiencies, yes, contributing factors to the problems, but they are not part of the immediate causes. The immediate causes are the ones that we have agreed to. But these other ones, yes, it's a matter of policy. This government, as well as government in the future, should pay more attention to creating conducive conditions for increased productivity by the Nigerian economy.
Prof, you just hit my nerve because last week I did say I did a series on the program in terms of made in Nigeria. And my argument, I don't know, but let me re-echo it. My argument was that we've not yet started with made in Nigeria.
Yes.
My argument was that what is actually made in Nigeria is not about you wearing the beautiful garment you're wearing right now, because if we want to investigate where is this garment coming from, it could be from China. It could be that the only thing that happened here in Nigeria is the amount you gave your tailor or your designer to put it together.
Yes.
So my argument last week was that until we're beginning to get the made in Nigeria conversation right, which you've just said, that you need to create an enabling environment to get productivity right.
Yes.
So you are with me on that unknowingly, because that was what I said last week, that there has to be an enabling environment for businesses to thrive. You don't even need to begin a campaign of made in Nigeria, because naturally it will just be there.
Yes.
It will just flow, because companies will start coming up, garment factories, the textile companies will start coming up, people that are doing little things will start coming up. There will be alternatives. That is import substitution.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes, you're absolutely right. And let it be on the record that I'm always with you. But I tell you, what you said is very correct. I think that one thing our government should be doing is promoting local production, and also promoting the idea in the consciousness of Nigerians that buying things made in Nigeria is not buying counterfeit. You know, we have great people who are doing a lot of things after all the odds they're facing in producing things. Shoes, you know, Abba is great at it. Handbags, so many things, so much ingenuity in Nigeria, everywhere. Textiles, Kano is great on it. There's so many places where this government can target investments to promote indigenous production. And they are doing the right thing if they are also preaching to Nigerians to please patronize our producers. What is the use of producing when you can't sell? You know, when you discriminate against your own people. When I was
when you encourage foreigners to bring in their
yes, when if it is made abroad, you know, the only way you can sell made in Aba easily, or made in Newi, or made in Kano, or Lagos, or Ibadan, is when you put a foreign label on it. But I mean, I know new productivity faces this kind of discrimination, but this is our own. We have to produce here and sell to us. If we can't buy what we produce here, how do we expect other people to buy it? So we have to first popularize what we do here. So I agree with the government in promoting Buy Nigeria. It's a very important contribution. And I think they're not doing a lot of promoting this government. They're not even promoting themselves a lot. I think the federal government should, even in the face of this recession, come out and talk to Nigerians, especially Mr. Buhari himself. He should come out and tell Nigerians, like, look, this recession is not end all. It comes, like what you said, it comes and goes.
It's a cycle.
Yes, if it comes from the president, it has more impact than if it comes from me or you. It makes more, maybe if it comes from you, it's equal to coming from the president. But I tell you, really, I think the president needs to talk more to Nigerians about
his Oktoberfest speech, wasn't it enough?
Well, not just once. Talk more. I mean, you just talk more. People
need inspiration.
Oh, yes, yes. And he has a lot of goodwill. Before it's all gone away, because it will eventually, the honeymoon is extended, it will eventually end. So you should exploit it now. Talk to Nigerians. Tell them, look, these things you're reading, these commentaries you're hearing on TVs, and as if this, or newspapers, as if this thing is a dangerous thing. It's not. It's a phase that we have to go through. And we are putting things in places, which they are doing, actually. We are putting things in places to make sure that our country will rise again. Let people now have this hope. And if the president by himself tells them these things, they will, or his lieutenant, his minister of information.
But they've been talking.
Yeah, they should talk more. They should talk more. They should advertise these things more. They should let Nigerians know that this is not the end of it.
But you think that Mr. President has a lot to do in terms of more communication with
Yes, I think he should talk to more.
Because I know that when it was 2008, 2009, when President Obama came in during the recession, he did a lot more talking. In fact, he folded his sleeves. He was going from one place to the other. Oh, you see him today talk, we'll see what we can do to Ford and all of that, to garner hope. And perhaps that is what we need, because some people have also preached that President Buhari needs to do a lot more talking, especially now there's a recession, so that people will see a direction, so to speak, and have that feel that he's doing something.
Yeah, because people are thinking we're turning into a basket case. We are not. We are just being rated higher than South Africa. Right?
Again.
Yes, you know. So, I mean, in our GDP.
But the IMF also put some clauses. They did also put some clauses that we need to get our acts together.
Of course.
I think on the program tomorrow, I'll be looking at that economic outlook in totality. But if we go ahead, you mentioned something earlier, talking about the petroleum industry bill, and it was as if our minds were working together, because at the beginning of the program, I did speak about new investment in the petroleum sector and the petroleum industry bill. How... what weight is this PIB holding, especially on the petroleum sector, to get this sector right, especially from the executive and the legislature?
Well, let me tell you a few things about this PIB. See, PIB contains very important points that will help this economy, but it's not being adopted, and that's a big problem. One of the people that influenced PIB, I've mentioned him, is a world-renowned expert. He's now actually hired by AU to be dealing with the issues of South Sudan and Sudan that involves also oil.
Yes,
you know? Yeah. So he's a world, globally renowned expert. And I think if they go back and listen to him, they should listen to Dr. Boga. He's very well respected globally. And he has in this PIB, this Community Development Fund. For me, that is the most important thing to do now, is to make sure we raise the quantity of oil that we produce. Because meanwhile, even though everybody's shouting diversification, diversification, meanwhile, that is where the money comes from.
How do you diversify without money?
Exactly, that's where the money comes from anyway. So, and if we want to get out of this recession, we need more money. We need more money in this place. Otherwise, if you either get it that way, or you get more money by spending more. The government should spend more. And the government is not good at spending more, this government. It has not done so much. And they have spent about 700 or so.
720 billion,
yeah.
according to Adeosun.
Yes, out of the 6.2 or 6.1
trillion naira.
Trillion that they have. And the year is about to end. That's not too much. That's not too much out there. So they should do that. They should put money in the pockets of Nigerians.
How do they get that done? Is it an impossible case? Because getting money into the pockets of Nigerians, how would that be done?
Well, they can do it by starting constructions. People will be hired. They will do more by doing things in housing, expanding housing, push more money. Housing employs a lot of people, carpenters, masonry, all these kinds of people. They should do that by giving some of those 500 billion they promised, 5,000, is it what they promised?
5,000
into the pockets of poor people. They'll be doing that. There are so many things they can do. They should do more by, I have suggested this and it's controversial, but I think we should reduce interest rate. I think the central bank should reduce interest rate. Why do you think it's
controversial?
Well, because some people
argue. Because that's a logical thing to do.
Exactly.
Or it makes
that's what other people have done in other countries.
It makes economic sense.
They do not only reduce interest rates, they cut taxes. They Obama spent 800 and something billion.
Dollars.
Yes, dollars, of course. They don't use naira there.
Yeah, they don't. The naira is not a global currency.
Yes. But so you pour more money so that you put money so that you can revive our economy. Because our economy, the recession means that we're not producing at the level we should be. Our GDP is dropping. The rate of production increase is dropping. So the thing we have to do is put money anyhow we can find it. Or if, because you see, in this budget we have, the budget is about 6.2 billion or so.
6.1 trillion.
Trillion, exactly. 6.1 or 6.2
trillion, yeah.
Yeah. And we have a deficit there of about over 2 billion, over 2 trillion.
Naira.
How are we going to fund it? And so if you want to fund it, you have to get us out of this slump. And the way you have to do it is, well, you can borrow the money.
Which government is doing?
Yes, you can go and borrow the money.
From African Development Bank, World Bank.
Yes. They said they will borrow money because our debt to GDP ratio is low.
It's low.
But this is not looking at the issue of debt service.
Our
debt service is 1-point-something trillion.
God bless you, Prof.
So they can't be saying, well, debt service is low. Where are we going to get money to even do the debt service? I think the financial minister has said something interesting, that she's not going to borrow the money from Nigerian banks, which makes sense. I really think she makes a lot of sense.
That foreign money is cheaper.
Yes.
Because people are taking a look at
because interest rate is lower.
Yeah, the African Development Bank, I think is over 20 years, 1% in interest rate, I think.
Yes.
And the moratorium, 20 years or so.
Yeah, she should do that. I should teach our banks a lesson, because our banks are not lending money to Nigerians. And therefore, the Nigerians are not patronizing the businesses. They are not lending money to Nigerians, so the Nigerians are not starting businesses. And so if they don't start business, if they don't generate business, they can't self-employ. And the economy is not big enough to be hiring them. So you have a lot of people that are going around with no source of income.
No, Prof, you just said something why I said God bless you. Because the government is always quick to say, oh, our debt to GDP ratio is very low. But you've said something about our debt servicing ratio to GDP.
To revenue.
And debt, yes, to revenue.
Yes.
Which is also
very
rising.
High. Yes.
Yeah, if we take a look at the debt profile now, about 16 trillion naira, so to speak. So how do government rebalance that act, especially now that there seems to be little money for a lot of challenges, to fix a lot of challenges?
Yeah. Well, what they have to do is help get us out of this recession, let our productivity increase, then more people will be employed, so you have more people to tax, more businesses will come to life, you have more businesses to tax. That's where you generate your money, and you use this money to do what government does, create good infrastructure so that more will continue to happen, and pay your debt some. you know. And so, yes, the first call of action is to get the economy back to its feet. And I think that's what we have been discussing, how they can go about doing that. It's not like they don't know what to do. And they have some brilliant people in this government, actually. The economic advisor is brilliant. The
economic advisor, people didn't know that he's been there.
That's probably good for him, because...
Is it good for him?
Because
I had him on the show
that gives
like
him
2
time
months
to
ago.
do a lot of work, quietly, a lot of intense work. You know, he's doing quite a lot. And because, you know, it's true. Let's face it, that they did inherit humongous problems. So let's face it, they did. Whether you are in their party or not, that's true, that they did. And and I think to do some correctives, it takes a lot of building blocks. And some of these building blocks are not sexy. So you wouldn't hear them. You won't see what they're doing. So I know that some of them are doing very, very good work.
All right. Let's quickly take a few comments coming through. Okay. Dele says, pulling out of the present debacle, the recession, government should reposition the agricultural and manufacturing sector. I guess your guest is correct. The president needs to speak out and his cabinet follow suit. It's not about talking, but action. Francis says, if we are a productive nation, this recession will be a thing of the past. No nation develops by being an imported nation. Okay. Okay. I've been seeing Francis and Dele tweeting. Ike says diversification is the only answer for us to jump out of this recession, but that would take us like 10 years of constituency.
Yes.
Of consistency. Do you agree with him?
Yes, yes. Diversification is very important. Absolutely very important. Because if we had diversification, we would not be in recession. You see, because you see, we're in recession because we're mono economy. We have dependence.
Or is it that we will not be in recession, or we will not feel the impact so much?
Well, that may also be true. But, but you know, the point, the reason why we're in recession, as we said at the beginning, is all related to oil. Yeah? So, but if we were also getting, if oil was contributing only 10%, and another 20 come from manufacturing, and this other one comes from agriculture, and so on and so forth, then when one goes down, we don't feel the overall effect. Yes.
All right. King Belakush says the prof is spot on. While Idoko says government should do the talk, good program map out, but no implementation is still zero governance. Nature says government should do, okay, that's it. All right, just before we go, Prof, you said that the government has some brilliant people, like the economic advisor and all of that. There's still things that you expect this government to do that they aren't doing, of course, to create jobs, because it seems that jobs are on the minds of Nigerians now. As we speak, there are a lot of companies that are closed down, and a lot are closing down. A lot of them are downsizing, or is it right sizing? But the bottom line is that they are sacking.
Yes.
I think that's the layman language.
Yes.
A lot of companies are sacking their employees. What should the government do?
Put a lot of money in the economy through public expenditure, public works. You know, you have to hire people now. Look at all the roads. I was watching on TV yesterday this Otupo Enugu Road. I don't know if you saw that. It was terrible. So, put a lot of money, pay the contractors, let them go and hire. Who will build these things? They are Nigerians. Hire Nigerians to come and help do this work. Pay them daily, weekly. Well, yes, we have enough now at home. You know, where we can't do it well, I don't discriminate against foreigners. You know, if you want to give me
but we should promote local content.
Oh, yes.
I think in my state, some years ago, they used to have what they call direct labor agency, that DLA, that used to do all this infrastructure, like roads and all of that. So you can employ Nigerians to do that.
Yes, that's how you spend that money. Don't say I don't know how to spend the money. We do.
Even in our military, have we even harnessed the skills in our military? Because I know abroad, in the US, for example, the military or some of those soldiers do a lot of those things.
Oh, yes.
I think that's another way to go.
Oh, yes. We have talent here. We just spend the money here. Put people to work.
It's not only about fighting war. That when we talk of soldiers or military, we think of war. We have a lot of skills there too. That just came to my mind now.
It's true.
Perhaps that will be an addition for
they are very highly skilled, especially our military.
Yes.
They are very, very highly skilled people that have specialized training from these schools they go to abroad. And some of the places, some of the things they're doing in the Zaria axis, Jaji, all these places, they have very skilled. I worked with the military, so I know. I mean, I consulted for the military, and I went to all these places, and I had very high respect for our military.
Good engineers, good doctors, good. Every profession is in the military.
Yes, in the military.
So we should. And the president himself was a military man.
Yes, and he knows these things more than you and I.
Yeah, so I think we should. Not about fighting war alone. I think we've not thought of that. We should begin to use our military well.
Yes.
All right. That's the much we can take, Prof.
Okay. All right.
Thank you for coming. It's almost 12 already. So thank you for coming.
Yes.
All right, I've been speaking with Professor Ebere Onwudiwe, an economist. We've been looking at pulling the country out of recession. What more can I say? You know, he's a prof. And when prof speaks, of course, we listen to them. All right, thank you for your tweets, thank you for your comments, and thank you for being a part of our day today. Please join us again tomorrow, same time on this channel. Be the best you can be the change that you also want to see. I am Nancy Ilo. God bless Nigeria. And don't also forget to check out editions of this program on YouTube, because a lot of people have been sending me comments. You can check out the show